Welcome to episode 54 of the Walleye Chronicles Podcast. This week, Chris Todd of Lake St Clair. That's right, Chris is a Musky man from out there. We're going to learn all things about Muskies. Chris Todd, everybody. Hi, welcome to another episode of Walleye Chronicles, where I get you guys out of the boat or off the ice, and we talk some fishing. Doesn't matter what it's about, walleyes, muskies, bluegills, crappies, whatever. This week, I have Mr. Chris Todd of CT's Fishing, or Chris Todd Fishing on YouTube. He is a Michigan man and a muskie man. So I don't have to talk a lot of muskies on here. I catch muskies every now and then on accident, but I want to find out why I'm catching them, and from a man that does it all the time. Chris, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing today?
Not too bad. So do you fish muskies like majority of the time? Is that your main go-to?
Pretty much from June till like December 15th. Yeah.
That's awesome. So is it always something so how'd you get your start fishing?
So I fished basically my entire life, but once I got a little bit older, I always wanted to catch muskies. And then as soon as I got a boat, it was all muskies.
That's awesome. So as you were a kid, did you fish muskies when you were a kid too, or just something you
No. I would come out to Lake St Clair with my aunt and uncle though, and they were bass fishermen. And there was a few times we had hooked a muskie, and me and my cousin were just absolutely ecstatic, you know.
That's awesome. So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Brighton, Michigan.
Where's that?
Wow. It's like 45 minutes west of Detroit, kind of maybe about 45 minutes from Lake St Clair.
I gotcha. Well, that's not a bad hike then.
No, it's not too bad.
So you typical kid, did all the sports things growing up and fishing a little bit when you can?
Yeah, just mainly bass fishing as a kid. That was my big thing.
That's cool. So do you have a group of friends that you hung out with that fish together? Was it like a group of guys that were going down to the river, or how'd that kind of go for you?
Yeah, all my friends were big bass guys or whatever, and then they got into the walleye thing. And I did too, but I always was like, guys, we need to fish for muskie. And none of them to this day fish for muskies. So I had to make new friends.
We had to dump those bass heads off to the side. So when was how much your first muskie you caught?
Ooh, 3 seasons ago, because I'm 28, I was 25.
So how'd that go down?
So I came out here with now one of my great friends, Zach Gaza. He's a charter guide out here. And I had booked a trip with him because all my friends said, hey, Chris, let's book a walleye trip. And they're all talking about this walleye trip. And I said, dude, let's do a muskie trip. And they're all like, no. I'm like, we've been catching walleye our whole lives. Like, let's catch a muskie. So none of them wanted to go. So I reached out to Zach, and his thing is Wolfpack Fishing Charters and Guide Service. And I went fishing with him one time, and I was so addicted that I went and sold my motorcycle, my dirt bike, and I got a boat immediately. And then me and him became like pretty much best friends.
So what about it made you just give up everything and start over a whole new way of life for yourself?
Oh, well, I mean, I knew as a kid I always wanted to do it, you know, and as soon as you catch one, like with the actual musky gear and the tackle, like big lures, all that, it just changes your life. There's nothing like it. It's not like salmon. It's not like bass. It's just a whole nother world.
That's awesome. So was there anything special about the first fish that you caught?
Oh, yeah, I cried. I really did. It was super special. I'm actually out there. It was after a trip with my buddy, and he had hooked a really nice one. And I knew that because I'm casting for them, so it's much different than trolling. I knew that this is not easy, and that's what I kind of wanted though. Yep. And I went out there with my cousin and my buddy Freddie, and I'm just ripping my bait along. Like in the same moment, I said, hey, I don't think I'll catch a muskie till the end of the season or next season because this is so hard. And they said, dude, look in the water. There's a muskie. And there was a muskie just sitting there waiting for my bait to move. So I popped my bait twice. It swallowed my bait right there. And then we netted it, and I was screaming like the whole lake could hear me. And then that ruined my life.
That is awesome. It's always fun to me watching the muskie videos of how fast from hook up to net it goes sometimes for you guys because everything happens. Seems like a lot of stuff happens right at the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have a fast net, man, or that fish is coming off every time.
So what's your favorite way to fish them? Is casting?
Yeah, I only cast for them.
Okay.
Or you could jig too. Jigging forms a whole pretty crazy world as well.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. You're basically jigging a bar of soap. It looks like, you know.
So are you in the forward-facing sonar world of that, or just more of a blind casting, structure casting?
No, so with muskies, I do have a Panoptics, but I never use it because you a lot of people think it's this crazy thing, and on some lakes it is, but on a lake like Lake St Clair, to me it doesn't help at all. So I've had a few times this season I put it on my boat, but I won't even see the fish, and then they're next to the boat, and then I'm missing them, so I took it off the boat.
Okay. That's crazy. Because some people, I see that the tournament trail got rid of them, but I could see if you can, in some of these waters where you can button them down and see where they are and toss them enough, eventually they're going to hit it, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not active, though, it doesn't matter if you see them; they're not going to eat.
No, you can't
throw at them 100 times.
You can't anger them to bite.
No.
So St. Clair's what kind of a body water? So St. Clair's between Lake Erie and Superior, right? No,
Lake Huron.
Lake Huron. So it's clear water, right? Pretty clear, super clear.
It just depends on the winds and the conditions. Because normally, yeah, it's blue to bottom, but different parts of the lake or different wind directions, it will stir it up. But we don't like fishing like the super clear water because it's really hard to get them to bite in that. And that's why the forward-facing sonar isn't so great in this is you got to find green water and bait or brownish water, not too muddy, and you'll always find muskies every time.
I gotcha. So is there any, so what are you throwing out there? What's your, if you're going out today or tomorrow going out, well, maybe if you don't want to tell anybody, it won't be out for a couple of weeks, but if you're going out, what are you hooking on? Kind of take me through a year on St. Clair and what works, what time of year and all that kind of fun stuff, what you're using.
So June, typically, like a lot of guys say spring, they eat smaller, which I guess they kind of do. But I'm usually throwing on June, I'm throwing on like bucktails mainly. And then going into July, I switched to a lot of rubber, but there's baits called like the Bam Bam bow fins. I love those, or just Bam Bam swim bait, the swim fin, and just anything bigger rubber wise.
That's crazy. So do you have a huge tackle box full of stuff?
Oh, my whole wall in my garage. Probably $10,000. It's terrible.
I didn't realize it. I had a friend's son that kind of got into it a little bit, and I didn't think anything of it. And he went and bought some stuff and whatever. But I didn't realize there's a whole used market for musky lures because the price. I'm just like, it didn't even dawn on me. I'm like, I suppose if something's $30 a pop, you try it, use it, get rid of it, move on to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a huge used market, and sometimes too these baits, sometimes they'll only last. I mean, they could last up to 10 fish, but sometimes they only last one fish and they're gone.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
I suppose the rubber with the teeth probably get really tore up pretty quick, like a Medusa, something along those lines.
Yeah. Sometimes the Medusas get ripped in half. It's a crazy, it's the whole thing.
I think it's funny because I mainly walleye fish 100% of the time. 99.9% of the time. And so this year, though, in my fishing, I love casting crankbaits. I love casting crankbaits, like casting, for big walleyes. I'm looking for current. I'm looking for rocks, which is generally the same place muskies kind of hang out in our area. So this year, between me and my co, we've caught 7 just plain walleye fishing, right? Which is not very big. They're like 30 to, I think the biggest one we caught was like 38, smaller ones. But it's just crazy the amount of just how they just hammer that thing. And either getting in the boat or they're gone. There's one or the other. Or you're losing all your stuff, one of the two.
Yeah, we actually have a joke out here. The walleye guys catch more muskies than we do by far. It's kind of true, to be honest, but I don't know why. It's just the walleye guys are always in the areas of the muskies because the muskies like to eat walleyes.
I never thought about that way.
Yeah, so they love walleye. They love perch, walleye. I mean, they'll even eat bass. They don't really care, but they love walleye. So we fish a lot of areas that are full of walleye boats too.
That makes sense. So you don't do any trolling then?
No, no, not at all.
I always kind of find it funny. They troll a bunch in Green Bay, and interesting how they just randomly troll in, like, I don't know. I see them out there like 50 feet of water. I assume it's above some kind of break or something, but they're just randomly out there trolling in no man's land. I'm like, I wonder what they're doing out there.
Just trying to find one. I'm actually going to Green Bay September 14th through the 19th, which is going to be awesome.
Nice. Have you been on there before?
No, but the people I'm going with, they've been out there probably 5 or 6 times, so should be fun.
That'd be nice. So they catch some big muskies up there. In the fall, if you go in the river in De Pere, up by De Pere, and the smaller ones must kind of move up and stage for the winter, and you go up there and troll for walleyes or do whatever you're doing up there. We put a leader on every year because we would lose so much of our stuff from muskies. And I had friends that would catch 12, 15 muskies a night. They're not very big, right? They're all 30 and under, but they just move up in there for feeding or for winter or whatever they're up there for, and just hammer the piss out of everything you put down there. We're pulling little Salmo Hornet 4s, and they're just tearing everything to shreds on us. So we had to start putting on some leaders to make sure we could get our stuff back at least.
Yeah. Yep, that's what muskies do. It's a good sign, though, to see that many smaller ones. It's really good for the fishery.
Right. So, tell me, do you have to lift weights or anything? Because I cast my normal pole and I'm casting a 5-inch lure all day long, right? And I'm sore at the end of the day. But then I see what you guys are casting with up to 10-foot poles and these huge, 12-inch lures. That must tear your elbows to shreds.
Yeah, it definitely destroys your back, your shoulders, everything. And I usually work out going into June. And then once June hits, the amount I fish, you do get used to it fast. But you don't have to be like super in shape. But the more you do it, the easier it is, kind of thing. But it's never easy, no matter what. It's never easy.
So was there a big curve for you when you using bait casters? I mean, obviously with a big lure like that, if you have a backlash, that's got to be pretty nuts.
Yeah, because we have 80 to 100-pound braid too, so it does get pretty nuts. I taught myself how to use a bait caster at I think 10 years old, okay. So that wasn't really a big issue. But if you put on a bait that's too light or something for your rod or setup, that's when you get a lot of backlashes.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm throwing like a super small bucktail on like a bigger rod meant for rubber, it's going to have way more problems.
Yeah. Do you ever go like light, I wouldn't say ultra light. I mean, like, is there like a thing where you do lighter stuff to catch fish on, or no, everything's bigger, heavy duty line, reels, poles?
When I do the inland fishing, they don't really eat as big as they do in Lake St Clair. So I'll throw like smaller size 7 bucktails, and I have like a lighter, it's still a musky rod, but it's like a lighter musky rod, still 10 foot long though, and 80-pound braid, but yeah. That's
crazy. So what's the fish like in St. Clair? Is it good fishing, bad fishing? Kind of where is it at as far as habitat for the fish?
So it's hit or miss. It's musky casting, like you could be the best in the world and not even see a fish. You could be the worst guy and catch 5 in a day. So it's really just being in the right spot at the right time. We all kind of know out here where the fish generally sit, but it's also, again, one day they could be over here and the winds blow the clarity out. So the next day they might be a half a mile away. In June, though, is hard. A lot of these fish are in the rivers. So June is just a complete guessing game of misery. It's pretty terrible.
So do you get up in the river to fish at all? That's the Detroit River, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't too much, but a lot of guys will go up there and target muskie, or they'll jig for them. And same with the St. Clair River or anything like that. But yeah, I just try to stick it out in the lake and find them. It's pretty terrible.
What's the lake like? Is it when the wind picks up? Does it get rough? Is it what kind of lake is it that way?
Yeah, so we don't get like Lake Michigan waves out here, but they're worse in a sense because like on Lake Erie, if you have 4-footers, you can ride that wave up and go
Yep.
down. Out here, it's so shallow that it's just wave, 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 wave.
Oh, choppy.
So yeah, it beats your boat up worse than any lake I've ever been on. It's super really like it destroys boats. It's rough.
I hear you. Winnebago's kind of the same for us out here. It's big, a lot of wind, not a lot of high waves, but they're quick, fast waves.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, and you go to Green Bay, it's more of the rolling waves, and it's a little easier for you. So what kind of boat you run?
I have a Skeeter WX 1910
Nice,
fiberglass boat.
nice. I did see in the past that you had a little accident with your other boat.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So I was at a weird area, I guess you would call it, and I was on the way to inland lake that used to have a state record back in like 2000 or something, or maybe like 99. And I went there to try to catch a big fish, and the intersection was super weird. I got smashed, but thankfully, I guess it was neither of our faults in court because it was such a weird intersection.
That's fair.
And Michigan, it's a no-fault state, so I had no insurance hike or anything, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, and I had a aluminum boat I was trying to sell, but I couldn't just because it had an Evinrude on it. So that was kind of the best thing that ever happened to me. But in the moment, I was torn. I said, there goes my season, this and that.
Right.
But yeah, that was the best thing ever.
That's funny how those accidents sometimes turn out to be a best case scenario, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Get into what you want. Was it? How fast were you able to get your new boat? Pretty quick for you to turn around from? Was insurance company good for all that kind of stuff? Getting turned around, getting the new boat.
2 weeks, I got the new boat.
Dang.
For the boat being smashed to going to drive to pick up my new boat was about 14 days. So
that's not bad at all, then, really. So
yeah,
if you're looking to get a boat, just go crash it like Chris, and
yeah.
as long as you have good insurance and you're in a no-fault state. And oh, yeah, that's the worst. I getting accidents on the road with your boat. It's, I always worry about that. If I'm driving on the highway and everybody stops in front of you, you got to stop. Is the person in the back, are they going to be putting their car into my motor, all that kind of fun stuff?
Yeah, I'm always worried about that too, especially driving through Detroit to get here is pretty trafficy. It's like trying to drive through Chicago or something. There's just a lot of people and everybody slams and locks up. So I try to keep like a pretty big distance now. I'll just go in the right lane and go 55 or 60 and everybody can pass me and get mad. But I'd rather do that than
right. That is 100% correct. I just came back last weekend. I'm out of Oshkosh. So we went up to fishing in Door County walleyes. So it's like 2 hours to get up there. And I always do leave myself like 2 or 3 extra car lengths in front, but at no fails, every like half mile, someone cuts in front of you and then you got to slow, it's the same thing. Oh, it's like, we got a boat. Just give us our 3 or 4 car lengths. Everybody else, you can tailgate, leave us by ourselves and just let us go in comfort. And then once you get past everybody, then it's nice, easy driving. But traffic driving with a boat sucks.
It does. It's terrible.
Especially if you try to get over. So did you do anything crazy to your boat? Is it pretty much stock? Did you set anything up how you want it? Did you add any extra storage or things to stand? I know some guys add all kinds of stuff to stand on, make the back deck super big and for casting.
Yeah, I don't have a case box yet, which is like one of those bigger boxes that hold all those lures and stuff. I'm going to get one, but the boat came with, I guess, 2 screens like Humminbird, and I did have my Panoptix that I don't really use. So, I mean, I guess it's just standard. I bought it used. Nowadays, boats are crazy, so I had to get a used one. And
fair.
Nothing too crazy done to it. It does hold up to, I think, 12-foot rods on the side, which is perfect.
Oh. I suppose, yeah, you've got the longer ass stuff. For most of us, we're getting up around 8 feet now. That's about it. But you're probably rolling 9, 10 feet plus probably for your stuff.
That 9'6" is like my minimum, or I guess I have a couple 9-footers, but I usually run 9'6" or 10-foot only, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. More for the figure 8 though. That's the main reason why. It's not about fighting the fish. It's just you want to get, if the fish is coming up and you want to.
Hey listeners, let's talk outdoor streaming. What is the best outdoor streaming platform out there? Well, it's simple. It's Fixed TV. Not only do they have this great program, but they have all kinds of hunting and fishing shows along with some weaponry shows. So when you get bored and need something to do, get your fix with Fixed TV.
Throw a good figure eight. Sometimes you got to have like a super long rod.
Dude, the longer the spin?
Yeah, because you can get the bait wider.
Okay.
And sometimes you see my videos, I throw a terrible figure eight when I don't see the fish coming, and it's like a tighter one, and then that's when they don't bite. But the wider you can get your bait, usually the better.
Oh, so they don't have to come. So that gives them more room to turn, basically, to get on it than going back over them with the short eight.
Yeah, and it gives them more room to kind of react to like know that, hey, this is not fake, I guess. But the wider you turn it, the more realistic it is to them, just trying to get like a super big eight going, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to speed it up and slow it down in the corners. There's like it's just super technical. It's
cool. So tell me about what it's like. A fish coming in, you see it coming in. It's going to go down to the figure eight. Walk me through getting hammered on a figure eight.
It's hard for everybody. When you actually see the fish coming, it does make it a lot easier when you see it coming in, but half the time they just come up from bottom or come up from somewhere. You don't even see them half the time. They'll just shoot up. And that's when it's difficult. And over time, I've kind of taught myself to relax because the fish come when you least expect it. When you're talking to your friends, when you're not looking at the water, that's when it seems to be the most when the fish come up. But when you see them coming, it's always much easier. But to me, that's a very rare occurrence.
What's it like when they hit it though? I mean, like, you know what's going to happen. It's coming down to game time. They're going to hit it. Where's your brain going? All that stuff. Are you looking for are you peeking at the net? You speaking up to your partner that's with you. What are you doing up until the strike and right after the strike?
Usually it's here's one. You just say here's one really calm because if you yell, honestly, sometimes I don't know if you scare the fish or your partners or yourself, but normally it's here's one. And then when you start to put it in the eight, you hook up on it. And a lot of the times they'll bite it and they still won't get hooks. So it's pretty terrible. But when they do get hooks, you just set the hook and then your partner already knows and he's grabbing the net for you.
So is that it's crazy to me that those big ass hooks, and you guys sharpen the hell out of those things, that they don't automatically hook up. I mean, obviously they must have awful hard mouth to be able to happen because I mean, there's some pretty big hooks that you guys are pulling around out there.
Yeah, it's more when they bite. Like, let's say I put it and I swing it, and now the back of the lure is facing their mouth. They'll grab the back, and that's my biggest problem this season. Is I've been able to get most of my fish to eat, but they'll grab the back of the lure, and I'm like, okay, how do I fix this problem? Do I put a hook on the back somehow, or you know what I'm saying? But
like a sting hook.
Yeah, but that seems to be my number one struggle in losing fish in the figure eight is when I swing it around, they just strike it. And if they don't hit it from behind, if they hit it on the back, it's so hard to get hooks. It's impossible.
Wow. So does boat movement matter during that time? If people move around the boat or if you're moving, is it like, I guess what I'm saying, once they're that close, are they just committed to eating this thing and whatever happens? Or do you guys got to kind of like you said, maybe look quiet?
It always depends because sometimes they're going to eat no matter what. You could do anything and they're going to eat. You could throw the worst figure eight, they'll eat. Then other times they'll come in lazy and not very active, more curious. And then that's when you have to speed it up and kind of finesse the fish into eating your lure. But those ones are sometimes really hard to catch. And sometimes they'll even bump it with their nose and go around 4 times and they still won't eat it. And you just keep thinking, why didn't this fish eat? They like to ruin days, you know?
Right. So what's harder to get land one at the boat, like when it hits the boat, or when you drop your cast out, 85 feet and it hits within the 5 feet?
You always want it to hit away from the boat. Everybody always says, hey, if you can work your bait good away from the boat, you don't have to try to figure eight it, or put it into a figure eight. But it never works like that. Sometimes they'll follow in no matter what, no matter how good you're working your bait. Sometimes they won't. The best days are when the bait hits the water and before you even pull it, the fish eats it.
Oh.
And then you pull it and the hook set and you're like, wow, okay, got one. But that means the fish are super active, like super active, you know?
Those are the fun days.
Yeah, but they only stay active sometimes for like, sometimes they're only active for 15 minutes in the window. Sometimes they're active for an hour. So every day it's completely different. Sometimes you'll catch them all day throughout the day. Sometimes you'll literally have like a 10-minute window in 15 hours where you see a fish or catch a fish.
That's crazy. So, I have so many questions for you. Um, oh, so side note, have you ever ate muskie?
No, we don't keep any of them.
I joke with one of the guys around here that I next time I catch, if I ever catch one, we could break the internet by just making a video catch and cook of a muskie would just completely blow the world to shreds. Everybody would be freaking out. I'd be chased out of the state probably.
Yeah, musky guys definitely would get really upset. They're pretty musky guys get really, really upset. And I guess the only reason they do is because we work so hard and a lot of these fisheries have died and they've been brought back.
Yeah.
St. Clair, I mean, I'm sure maybe in the 70s or 80s. I don't know the entire history, but my grandpa used to fish St. Clair back in the 70s and he had never even caught a muskie.
Wow.
And then now it's like all the walleye guys accidentally catch them, but we have one of the only, like, not the only, but I guess in Michigan, one of the best or the best natural fishery where they're not stocked or anything. It's just a great fishery all around for bass, muskies, everything.
So you do stuff with the Michigan Muskie Alliance too, or part of that, or?
So I'm just a member of that, but there's so many different. All you have to do is basically pay like $35 a year, but our money goes to stocking inland lakes that aren't Lake St. Clair because they want it to be like Wisconsin once was or still is, or Minnesota. And yeah, they basically stock as many muskies as they can with our money. And sometimes it's like crazy numbers. You know, they might stock like 40,000 fingerlings in a year, 50,000, but probably I'd say maybe 10% of those actually come through or less.
Yeah.
That's just how stocking goes, though, you know.
I mean, it's a start, though, right? I mean, we're trying to keep a thing. That is funny, though. I mean, I joke about the eating thing. I don't really plan on eating the muskie, but it's funny because there's muskie fishermen it's such a different little culture, right? Because I wouldn't say there's not a lot of you. I mean, there's a lot of people that muskie fish, but people that actually put time into it, put their money into it, put, every weekend into it. There's not a lot of people out there that do that, right? I mean, there's only a very few. I'm sure in areas like St. Clair and even, northern Wisconsin, De Pere, Green Bay, for some reason, there's probably a bigger group there, but there's really not. It's a very small subset of fishermen that muskie fish. If you go panfish, bass fish, walleye fish, muskie is kind of got the smallest group.
Oh yeah. Me and my buddies make this joke all the time, but to be a muskie fisherman, I guess we're a little more rough around the edges. A lot more alcohol and stuff like that is usually not when we're fishing, but after we're fishing or
right.
Whatever. Like a lot of, I personally have never been in trouble with the law, but a lot of guys who have been in prison or felonies or all kinds of stuff like that. But it definitely is like a rougher group of fishermen for sure.
Right. I mean, I wonder if it's because you guys feel like you're always defending your fishery, right? Everybody's kind of, when you have less of you have to do more. You have to do more speaking up, right? You have to talk more about it and put yourself out more and kind of defend your fishery more than there's, the 10 million walleye fishermen in, Wisconsin or whatever it is.
Yeah, because it could take a muskie up to 30 years to grow to 50 inches. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
So when they're just like, oh, I got this 50-incher, and they're just like holding it, like you're like, dude, like you don't even understand what that fish had to survive to get that big.
Right. So that's actually one thing I want to get into. Tell me about proper handling of a muskie, because that's one thing that I know I hear about all the time, and most walleye guys don't know how to handle a muskie.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to handle a muskie, and that's a whole different way you have to go about handling these things. So tell me a little bit about what's a safe way to get them in, picture taken, and back in the water.
Okay, so first off, I'm just going to say when I first got into this, and anybody who first gets into this, sometimes they don't properly know. And muskie guys will attack people, even if it's their first muskie or whatever. But I think if everybody was just like, hey, this is how you do it, instead of like the constant like attacking you see on the internet, it would be better for everybody because maybe they would be more likely to do it. But what do you call this? Like not up and down, but like you want to make sure the fish is horizontal, not
Okay.
vertical.
Yep.
You always hold it like this.
Yep.
And then you basically keep it in the net at the side of the boat when you catch it. It's in the net. You get the hooks out. Normally we won't bump them unless they're a certain size, like measure them. But you pull it out of the water, horizontal. They take a few pictures, especially when it's hot out and it's back in the water ready to go. But the bigger the fish, sometimes you do want to get measurements, but you just don't want to keep that fish out of the water for too long. And you also don't want to fish if it's like 80-degree water temps or above, because that fish has a way higher likelihood of dying, you know.
Why is that? Is it because all their energy they put out, or why do they? I don't say they're.
To be honest, I don't know. I just know it's a big fish, and on those days, sometimes they're hanging more towards bottom, and there's not a thermocline really on Lake St Clair, but if you dive down, it's going to be cooler, much cooler on the bottom than at the surface. So it's like, I think that's part of it, but I really don't know. They're very, very fragile fish for how big they are.
Right. It's crazy too to think that you're gonna get you caught a 49-inch, 45, 49-inch muskie. He's in a big ass net alongside your boat. You got a Medusa that's about 12 inches long with all these big hooks on, and you got to go put your hand down in there and get him free, much less all his teeth and all that stuff you got to take care of. That's got to be a battle sometimes in itself.
Yeah, we do hate when they swallow them. I've only had it happen a handful of times where the fish actually like swallows it. A lot of times they hit it, and when you set the hook, it kind of pulls the bait out of their mouth, and the only one hook sticking out because the baits are so big.
Yep.
So that's super helpful. Like a lot of the times I can just grab the pliers and pop the one hook, because a lot of times they only have one hook. So you pop the one hook super easy. But I think, I'm not 100% sure on this science, but I think we know they'll eat big baits and that's what they want. But I do think the bigger baits does help the fish's survival.
Oh.
Because if you're throwing a really small bait and that muskie inhales it, that's when you're going to have to try to get in its stomach. And it's just a disaster when that happens.
Right. And I would assume that they're small baits for musky fishing, but for anything else, it's still a pretty big bait that they're going to be able to get in their mouth that they probably won't survive if you just cut it and leave it. Like, you know, if I lose a jig in a walleye, is what it is, it's probably going to survive, or at least we've been told. But if you lose a 4-inch stick bait or something in a muskie, even though it's a smaller bait for them, that probably ain't going to go well for him.
Yeah. So one thing we have is like jaw spreaders. So you'll grab it and you'll pull its head kind of out of the water a little bit, and you'll spread its jaws, and then you'll get in there with hook cutters and then chop the hooks and then pull the bait out, but make sure that the hooks actually like come out, you know.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I feel like I would assume summertime, it gets hot out. The bump boards, it's so hot, and people don't dip in the water, don't put them in the shade. And if you take a fish out, any fish you take out, and you drop it on that metal aluminum board that's been sitting in the sun for 6 hours, you're basically going to scorch that fish. And then you throw, a 40-inch muskie on there with that whole metal, on the side of them. If you can't get them in and out pretty quick, it's not going to go well for him.
Yeah, our bump boards are wooden, and we usually we dip them every time. Sometimes I'll dip them twice if someone's chopping hooks or something. I'll dip it twice, because you just want to make sure, and the slime on the fish. You want to keep the slime on the fish and try not to get it on your chest. I mean, it happens, especially on those bigger fish sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you just want to keep the fish kind of like as it came out of the water, going back in the water.
So I've seen these crazy like bump tanks.
The refill tanks, yeah.
What's that all about?
So that's what trollers do on Lake St Clair specifically. So that's like a Lake St Clair thing. And so the trollers, I'm not going to get into this too much, but they like to pick the fish up with the net. They'll take the fish out of the water with the net, which we don't do because it destroys fins. It destroys their fins every time. So they pick the fish up out of the water with the net, and then they just put it in this revival tank. And the revival tank is good, I can't lie. Without that, a lot more muskies would die. But we don't have to do that because they don't stop the boat. Their boat keeps driving no matter what.
Oh,
Yeah. So our
that's
boats, yeah, we put it back in the water and let the fish revive naturally. They have 10 baits in the water. They don't want to stop and reel them all in. So they put it in this revival tank, and then they just throw it head first back in, like going 5 miles an hour. Which, yeah, it's a whole nother thing. I don't want to get into too much because there's so much drama about that out here. I'm not gonna lie, but
oh, that's funny. I mean, every sport has its drama, right? Every little niche has its drama.
anything with males, I mean, any sport I've ever been in, even not fishing, whatever I've ever been in, but we're all just testosterone fueled and
Right.
want best, so I get it.
That is true. So what's some misconceptions about muskies that some of us don't know about? Hey listeners, let's talk outdoor streaming. What is the best outdoor streaming platform out there? Well, it's simple. It's Fixed TV. Not only do they have this great program, but they have all kinds of hunting and fishing shows along with some weaponry shows. So when you get bored and need something to do, get your fix with Fixed TV.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to say because I've just been fishing for them for a long time. That, like, what are your questions as someone who doesn't fish?
So if I was going out, I was getting into it. What would you? Okay, I'm going out this weekend up to Hayward or whatever, and I'm going to do some casting, some shorelines things. I don't got nothing. I'm going to stop and get a pole and some baits. And it's mid-August. What should I be doing?
So the first thing you should do is get the best net you can find. Basically, like there's RS net, Net Buddy. I think they call it a clam, but there's a few nets that are really good because other nets can damage these fish bad.
So is it a certain kind of netting that's on, like a rubber netting or
rubberized?
Okay.
Yeah, and the bag has to be deep. Like my bag is always in the water. No, like I think my bag is 5 feet deep.
Wow.
So my fish is always in the water no matter what. Even if I have it on the front of the boat or the back of the boat, the fish is always in the water.
That is crazy. That's a big.
And then you want tools too. So you want hook cutters, you want jaw spreaders, you want all these things before you catch one. Because if you just go out there with pliers, let's say, and it does swallow it the first time, then you're like, oh, what do I do? And then you have to pull it out of the water and try to get this out, and and it could be a disaster.
Right. I suppose, especially if you need cutters too. I mean, those hooks, you're not going to cut that with the normal side cutters, or I mean, with a pliers side cutters that most of us are using, right? You need an actual side cutters to cut those hooks.
Yeah, they're super like industrial almost, Yeah.
So I got the stuff to take care of the fish when it comes back. I got the good net. I got some stuff to get it out of there. What do I need? What am I looking for in a pole?
So it depends on the bait, So if you're throwing smaller bucktails, and every lake's different. Like the baits we throw in Lake St Clair it's probably one of the bigger like bait lakes.
Okay.
And there's some shield lakes where you're throwing baits this big. There's other lakes that have big fish, but they're not eating that big. It's I don't know why, but it seems like every fishery, they like different baits.
I gotcha.
And so I would study that fishery and say, hey, are they eating 7s, 8s, 9s? Green Bay, they eat smaller sometimes than Lake St Clair. They'll eat like 8, 9s, 9 millimeters, sometimes 10s. But out here, or Magnum bulldogs, out here they're eating pounders. It's literally like a pounder bait. It's huge.
Jesus.
So I guess you want to look up what you need, and then based on that, like the rod. And I don't know all the actions because I throw Chaos tackle rods when I'm throwing Medusas, Magnum bulldogs, or like 9 millimeter bucktails. I'll throw a shock and awe. I think it's like 30 OZ or 36 OZ baits ounce. And then, or there's the Moab, and the Moab's more for like pounders, double 10 bucktails, or just like your bigger husky Medusas.
That's some big ass weight stuff you're tossing. If I'm throwing something for walleyes that's more than a half ounce, I'm like, I don't know if I should be doing this. This seems a little heavy. And you guys are throwing things up to a pound. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, they make 2-pounders too.
Oh my
God. I won't throw those. I mean, that's just too far.
That's crazy.
Pounders though are very, very good on Lake St Clair. It's like one of the better baits.
That it's just the idea of you can put something on that big and you can cast it a fairly long ways and nothing getting like if I went to the lake today and you gave me your setup and said, here, throw this pounder thing, I would be probably buying you a new reel because that thing would be so messed up after one cast, backlash and everything else. It's crazy to me that like the amount of weight you're throwing out there and the tension, all that stuff you have to keep going with to be able to do it all day long.
Yeah, I mean, even me, I'm young, but I'm not throwing pounders all day. I'll throw like a lot of bowfins, we call them, or medusas, but a 50-inch fish will eat a medusa, and a medusa weighs less than a pounder.
Okay.
But pounders, I feel like they attract more fish at times, just because they see it going through the water a lot. They can see, for sure see it.
That's fine. That's the one thing too that like there's like a whole folk scene to musky fishing, at least in Wisconsin. Go up to Manitowoc waters and up that way, Hayward. I actually had a few years ago, kind of like I don't musky fish, right? I mean, I catch them every now and then, but I started collecting musky lures just because the size and like the customness of them, and it's a neat thing. I actually have them all hanging up in my kitchen because I think that's the coolest thing. I accidentally snagged a medusa once underneath the bridge, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then I was up in the Musky shop, and I just was walking around in there. I don't know if you've ever been up there or not.
I have not yet.
Oh my gosh, I was just in awe because I've been to big bait shops before, and I don't musky fish. I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna stop here. It's supposed to be the greatest thing ever, and just kind of walk through it. And I've never seen so many. Like most stores you go to, you get maybe 8 feet of musky lures, right? I mean, unless if you're in an area that's heavy musky, you don't have much musky lures. And this thing is, it's 100-foot building by 40 feet, and I think there's 7 aisles in it, and it's all stacked floor to ceiling everywhere. There's like 80 feet of just customs in there. I'm like, and just yeah, the craftsmanship, everything is just so remarkable. And so I started just buying one every now and then. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that. I'll buy that, And it just I don't know, just the folkness of it, kind of like, going back and seeing the pictures of the old guys in the little skiffs, and they got 30 inches hanging off the side, right? But that's kind of how it was back then. I mean,
it was back then. It was more normalized,
right? I mean, it's no different. When I was a kid, we were keeping 30-inch walleyes. Like I have pictures of me holding all kinds of walleyes, big walleyes during the spring. I'm like, I kind of feel bad. I hope no one ever gets to see those pictures. I'll be hung up out back and shit beat out of me or something. But yeah, I do. The folkness of like the lures and stuff is super cool. Is there ones that you have you bought just because you liked them? You looks at them, you won't ever use them, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've bought lures that I know for sure won't work, but yet I buy them and I'm like, these are cool. My buddy, he's actually sitting right here. He makes fun of me all the time about it. He's like, oh, you buy all these lures and you don't even throw them, or whatever the case may be, because we all know what baits work out here. It's like, okay, a bowfin junior, a medusa, husky medusa in the fall, a pounder, a magnum bulldog. Those are the best baits on Lake St Clair. Walleye pattern. One's called the ball licker. That's like the number one on the lake is the ball licker. It's black, orange, and white, or white belly, black back, orange tails. It's just like you only need probably 5 colors out here, I'd say, to maybe 6. And I'd say maybe 5 or 6 baits just in the variety of the 5 colors. And that's all you need. But I have 300 lures.
Right. Yeah, make sure your significant other doesn't see them last, 30 seconds. You only need 7 lures, and you can catch everything you need.
She knows. She sees which ones are mangled and which ones aren't. She knows.
So. Is there if I said you only can have one more ever, I'm only giving you one more bait to throw for the rest of your life. What are you taking? Oh
God. Oh. Could I have two?
No, just one.
Oh, just one.
Just one.
I'd say a ball liquor, Bam Bam Bowfin Jr. It's got to be ball liquor. It works in blue water, works in dirty water, it works all year.
Wow. That's crazy. If you only could go fishing one more time, who you taking? What you using, and where you going?
Ooh, I don't know if I want to give this fishery away. I mean, everybody knows it, but it's kind of like not overfished yet. But I would go to St. Lawrence. I would take my buddy Zach, and up there I would either throw a double 10 bucktail or a pounder. I mean, biggest fish in the world live up there.
Is there like obviously, so you just said that we would go. Is there like a top hit list of places you want to go? Like as a walleye guy, there's places I want to get to sometime before I die. Do you have a list of places like that you want to travel fish to before your time's up?
Oh yeah.
What are those places?
So Green Bay, but I want to go to Green Bay every year. I want to go to the St. Lawrence every year. I want to go to Lake Vermilion, Lake Lac Seul, Lake of the Woods, Eagle Lake in Canada. Georgian Bay has a lot of big fish, but to me, that just seems way too difficult, even though a lot of those other lakes are very difficult. It's just, I don't even know where to start up there. Like, it's just that one kind of, I'm not there yet,
Yep. So tell me about how much do you use electronics as a muskie guy? Obviously, we use kind of where everything's at, our mapping and stuff like that. Everybody uses that. But like, do you use a lot of the other stuff on there, or are you just looking for the temperature and where you're at, and that's about it?
So I guess there's points where, you want to look for weeds or bait, but I'm just looking at side scan usually. And a lot of times you won't even see the bait on the side scan if there's weeds, but you don't always need weeds. Like I used to think, fish weeds only, this or that. If you find that good water clarity and you're ripping, let's say, a Medusa, and you see all the minnows jumping out of the water from your Medusa, that means there's perch or bass, which means there's muskies. So I more look for, is there minnows jumping away from my Medusa? If I don't see any minnows jumping away from my bucktail, my Medusa, whatever, I think, hey, there might not be muskies here. But you could be on a sandy flat bottom. It's not like all these other fisheries. And there are times where they will sit in the weeds for weeks, but it's very random fishery. Like these fish can be anywhere or everywhere all at once,
So how deep is St. Clair?
I think this year it's a very low water level, but the shipping channel is, I think, like 30 to 40 feet, but that's man-made. I think the deepest natural point is just over 20 feet, maybe up to 23, but it's very shallow. Like we're fishing, I'd say, depending on the season, I'd say like 15 to 20 feet.
Okay. So I asked that because I have a question, because I've heard that muskies always feed up, like dramatically feed up, but you never really have to fish more than 6 or 8 feet down, but they'll come and get you even out of 20 feet of water. Is that true?
So I'd say more the hot, super hot, calm days is when like a pounder comes into play or something like that, because they do. If they're active, yes, they're always going to feed up. But sometimes you can catch fish that aren't so active by like tricking them or triggering them, I guess. Okay. And those are the days, or there are certain spots on the lake where they do just seem to be hanging on bottom, and you do want to get it as close to bottom as you can. Okay. But it's not always like that. Like, a lot of the times they will just feed up, like 90% of the time, if they're active. But if they're not active, you do want to work your bait lower.
Okay. And then have you any experience with live bait fishing, or is that just a Wisconsin thing?
No, we don't do it up here because, again, that's like a higher kill rate for the muskies. It's frowned upon, at least on Lake St Clair, because they'll swallow it and all those hooks.
Oh,
yeah,
that way. Okay.
Yeah,
I was watch all these old videos of these old timers and how they hook suckers secretly to make sure they always move the way they actually move, and toss these things out and drag them behind on a big ass bobber.
I do think it's cool though. Like I definitely would want to try it if there's, because I know it can be safer sometimes. Like they don't always die or whatever, but any bait could kill a fish,
Right. That's true.
And
I suppose it's bigger.
We just don't do it out here because I think we would get shunned. It's like one of those things that's like not really liked out here on Lake St Clair.
Right. So the other thing too is in the bass world, this thing's coming up, and I haven't really seen it too much at the walleye world, but I wonder if it might hit your world. Is the e-baits, like the ones that do fake movements and they swim and all that kind of stuff. And being that your baits are bigger, so easy, I would assume it'd be easier to mass produce and power. Is that something you guys see coming on down your pipe on your way, or not really?
I'm not sure. I know there are a few baits that are already out there for muskies where it literally moves just like a fish. Yep. And I bought one from Cabela's when I first started. I forgot what it was called, but this bait literally just like no matter what you do and it dives, goes up, down, just from reeling it. But I've never seen a fish on it, so I just don't throw them.
Do you have any? Do you guys make any of your own stuff, leaders, anything like that? Are you into like doing any of that, or is that ever something you want to try to do?
No, but sometimes we'll like attach things to baits, I guess, ourselves. Like, oh, you want to throw a blade on the back of a tube, which they do make tubes with blades on them, or you want to throw a hook on the back, like on a jig or something. But there are like all these different little tricks we have, but we don't really make baits. I have a few buddies that do make baits and they do work, but I do not. To me, I just want to fish,
Do you guys add? Do Musky guys add scent?
No, I'm sure some guys do, but not really the casting community. We don't really do that.
The casting community.
The casting community, yeah. At least in Michigan.
That's wow. Yeah, it's so. How many? If you're on an average year, how many times are you getting hooked up?
Ooh. I mean, you can get hooked up individually 50, 60 times in a year, and you might only land half of those. So sometimes they won't even have hooks, and they'll keep fighting you for what they think is a fish. If it's rubber, if it's metal, that they know instantly, like if it's a bucktail or something.
Okay.
But if it's rubber, they can squeeze into it, and they think it's a fish,
So why do they think they do the fish of 10,000 casts?
You asked why is it the fish of 10,000 casts?
Yeah, why does everybody say it's the fish of 10,000 casts?
Because it is. Some days it's the fish of 1 cast, some days it's the fish of 100 casts. Sometimes you have 3 trips without seeing one. Other trips you could have 7 fish in the boat, 10 fish in the boat. So it's just really all depends on the day, the moon conditions, and that's like a whole nother thing that's like too far to get into. But moonrise, moonset, or like, I don't know why I'm blanking out because I'm on camera right now. But just like all the moon phases, like,
yep.
And they love the moon. I don't know why. So
what's your longest drought? I don't want to jinx you, but what's your longest drought?
Oh, when I first started, I went, I think a month and 3 weeks without catching one. And I went out twice a weekend, every weekend.
I think it's funny. You know exactly how long it was, a month.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's miserable. You say, oh, I'm going to go fish for bass, this and that. And then you catch one more fish and you're like, that's why I did this.
Right.
What's
your longest stretch to catch them in a row? Have you caught or had, I guess it's different too, because like when I do talk to musky guys, it's not really about landing it. It's kind of like the fouls, and you guys count those too. You count the misses almost like it's a catch. I kind of feel like sometimes.
Yeah. I do say now that the more experienced I am, every single time I go out, we get follows at least. The skunking for the boat has gone down, but personally, sometimes you may not catch a fish for 1 to 2 weeks, but the boat, the more you come out here and the more you figure it out, it seems like the boat can catch a fish every trip, even if it's a small one or a big one, but the boat tends to catch a fish unless it's like the worst conditions ever. Like cold front hits or something's really crazy,
So when you have multiple people on the boat, is there a tandem? Like, are you fishing together as in like you throw this kind of lure that'll help offset this kind of lure kind of thing? Are you guys, plan that? Or you just make sure you're throwing something different all the time to change it out, or can you throw a Medusa that may get them coming to the boat and then more of a reactionary hit to the end with somebody else?
Usually it's like either 3 Medusas or a bowfin and 2 Medusas. But yeah, I'd say the Medusa seems to be an amazing bait for Lake St. Clair. I mean, we all usually tend to try to throw slightly different colors. But if the one guy drew in 6 fish and you haven't drawn in one, the first thing you want to do is try his cadence. And if you're still not drawing to the boat with his cadence, then you want to switch to his color. I
got you. So what do you think is more important, the cadence, the color, or the action?
Cadence every time. I'd say color matters, but not really.
Okay.
I know one guy who's only thrown the same Medusa the entire year from June till now, and he's caught more fish than most people I know. And he just throws the same Medusa, any conditions, this, that. He has like 7 of them in the same color, just on his boat floor at all times.
I guess there's no broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, it's like
you get a confidence bait, right? Kind of, I suppose.
Yeah, mine's walleye.
Which, you know what's funny is you say that, and I don't think I've ever seen a walleye color. So I'm gonna have to go check that out, because everything that I'm buying, obviously, walleyes generally don't eat walleyes.
It's just gold. I don't know why they call it walleye, but it's gold.
That makes
anything
sense.
like gold or white.
I've never seen that. I've seen some pretty cool bluegill color stuff, but well, that's awesome. Well, thanks for being on. What's coming up next? Are there any things you're looking to do? I know you said you're coming to Green Bay after that. Is there anything any big plans of down the future of different things to try? Anything else coming up for you?
So I'm just going to fish out St. Clair up until December as hard as I can. Going to go to Green Bay this year. Next year, I'm going to try to go to Eagle Lake in Canada for 7 days. Go to the St. Lawrence for possibly 7 days, and then Green Bay for 4 days again. But every year I want to try to go either new places or try to figure out that one place, because that's your best bet. If you just keep hopping lakes.
Right.
Yeah.
You learn so much too. I know for me, it was moving different lakes. So you seem to pick up different things that help you when you go back home too, it seems like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Green Bay will fish completely different than Lake St. Clair.
Do you do any tournament fishing or that stuff, or no?
Yeah. So we have the Bondi Slam, and honestly, we do need more people in it. It's the biggest casting tournament on Lake St. Clair. And sometimes there's like 30 to 40 boats, which is huge for a Musky tournament, casting only. And it's so fun. It is so fun, but it gets really serious. But the night before, the Friday night, they have everybody come to the marina and they go over the rules, and everybody's drinking tons of beers, and you meet all the other teams and stuff. And it's a great, like, honestly, to me, it's like the best tournament fishing experience I've ever had.
That's awesome. Like, it's everybody together, right? That's,
Yeah,
we don't have to all be fighting. Like you casters don't have to be fighting with the trollers, and us walleye guys don't got to be fighting with the forward-facing sonar guys or the bass guys. It's be a big, happy fishing world.
Yep. Yeah. And then I do the inland tournaments too, I guess, but those aren't as serious. It's more like whoever shows up, just winner keeps most of the money, then second place, then third place.
That's cool.
Which we actually have won. The only one we ever did, we won, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I assume you guys did the catch, picture, release kind of thing?
Yeah, just catch, picture, immediate release.
Awesome.
All year long.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Awesome. Hey, if you're looking to be on an episode of Walleye Chronicles, hit me up on my socials at Smilin' Fish on TikTok or Matt Snell on Instagram and Facebook. Remember, there's 2 things you can do every day to make someone's life better. 1 is take them fishing, and 2, give them a smile.